Dash, welcome to Talk Shit, and I'm here with my brother KFT.
What up, what up?
And my homie, the Big Manny.
Hey, what up? Yay, yay. We got another honor, a super guest, but I ain't gonna be the one to do this introduction.
Me neither.
I'm gonna hand it off to my brother from another mother because he is dead geek to talk to this young man. So go ahead, I'm gonna hand that off, do the hot tag to KFT. There you go, baby.
Well, for our fans of wrestling, we got a special guest for you. Someone who is known worldwide, someone who's traveled across the globe performing shocking shit. You know what I'm talking about? We present to you the homicidal, suicidal, genocidal SABU. All right, so Mr. SABU, if I could call you that.
I prefer you call me Mr. Sabu. I like that.
Mr. SABU, right on. Hell yeah. So you come from the old school where back in the day, you know, they really didn't train you. They just beat the shit out of you. You know, and they just said, you know, pay the schools. What was it that kept you coming back training and that gave you that mind state where you wanted to be a wrestler and you wanted to move forward with that rough punishment?
Ever since I was, a little boy, I've always watched my uncle, the Sheik, wrestle. So I always wanted to be a wrestler watching him. So I knew I would do whatever it took. Even if it was something I didn't want to do, I'd do whatever it took. You know, I knew I had that money, whatever it took.
Wow.
How many of those days did you go back home and just were like, fuck, man, my back hurts, my elbow, my knees?
Every day. So when I first started, I lived with my uncle, so I didn't go back home. I just cried at his house.
You were just crying at his house?
Yeah.
Shit.
Hell yeah. And how old were you when all that shit started? Like when you really started?
I was 19 when I started pro wrestling. 19 when I started training for pro wrestling. But I wrestled 5 years amateur in high school, and then a year or so later I graduated high school, and then a year or so later I started training to be a pro wrestler. I had my first match when I was 21 though.
So how many years was that again? How many years was that again in school?
5.
Collegiate wrestling?
5 years amateur, and then 2 years of pro wrestling school.
You know what? That explains the groundwork you got.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
I always wondered where that came from. Every time I'd watch you wrestle, I always wondered where that came from. That explains it all.
Yeah, I like doing that stuff, except for they don't want to pay me for that. So I try to incorporate it in any way. But they want to see me do, the chair and table stuff, so I have to give it to them. I have to give them what they pay for.
You know what though, Sabu? It fit your character when you shoot in for that single leg. It looked like if you're just trying to rush them and murder them. You know what I mean?
Right on. It's ankle pick, but yeah.
I mean, even the way that he slid in with the way you would slid in with the chair and all that, it all worked with that.
Definitely.
So,
hey, Mr. Sabu, check it out. This Manny, man. Who else did you look up to other than the Sheik? Who else did you look up to as far as that era of time and those type of wrestlers? Who else did you take a liking to and try to emulate? You know how basically you take a character and you take a little bit of everybody you meet and you make it your own. Who else did you pick from other than the original Sheik?
Well, see, my uncle said to pick three guys that I want to be like, and pattern myself after those three guys. And the first guy, of course, is the Sheik. The second guy is a Tiger Mask, and the third guy is Jimmy Snuka.
Oh wow! Wow!
I kind of try
definitely, man. So how long were you on the independent scene? Well, not really the independent scene, because I know your uncle had big time wrestling, and that was big in the Midwest, and a little bit of everywhere actually. So how long were you on the independent before where did you go first? You went to Japan first?
Well, no. When I first started, my uncle didn't have the business no more. He was gonna try. He was trying to do it, but he didn't get it going again. So he trained me just to be a wrestler, not to work for him.
Oh, okay.
The first 5 years, I was Terry Nobody, where I didn't go to the top rope. I didn't leave the ring. I didn't use a chair, and I only did like 10 minutes. Maybe 15 at a time. But usually a 10-minute draw, and I did first match stuff. I was Terry Nobody, and after about 5 years, my uncle said, you're going to be. I'm going to change your name to Sabu, and I want you to do this and this. And I didn't like it at first because I didn't get to pick it. He picked it.
Yeah.
Making sense, and it turned out to be all right. But I've always been on the independent. It took me 7 years to get to Japan. I was on this independent for 7 years until I got to Japan. Then I was on independence when I got out of Japan. I've been on the independence my whole life. ECW was a glorified independent. It was not no federation or.
Yeah.
It was just a glow ride independent, but it was fun. But got to face it. It is what it was. It was really nothing. It was a facade.
Hey,
So
yeah.
so the style of wrestling, like you got this goddamn, how do I explain this? You got this, like, the way that I see it in my head, it's like this violent acrobatic style. Like it's smooth, but you land with this impact. Like you look violent in the ring. Was that something that just came about through time of wrestling, or did you cook that up in the lab, or
I cooked that up.
where did that?
My uncle was training me. He didn't want me to do anything. He didn't teach me. So when he wasn't around, I made up my own stuff. So when I went to Japan, I go, what am I going to do different tonight that I haven't done already? And he goes, you're going to do that shit in the backyard when you think I'm not watching you. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you know what I mean?
Oh shit!
That's awesome.
Fuck yeah.
That's cool, man. And of course, they loved it in Japan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh man. And then when you got to EC Dub, how was that? Your style, because there wasn't a whole lot of guys that had your style. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
nobody really did, other than maybe Onita and Mike Awesome in Japan. But most guys they. So when I came to ECW, I got over easy. Paul said, "Just do whatever I wanted to do," and I did, and I got over. And my favorite match there, and my most memorable match, is my very first match I had with Taz there in 1993. The most memorable match, and that was only 200 people that seen that.
Well, like your style, it's weird. I don't like calling it hardcore, because as hardcore as you go,
Hardcore is corny. It's outused.
yeah. And I mean, when I describe it, say I'm describing it to somebody who doesn't know who you are or whatever, I don't like describing it that way. And then when they see it, they're like, "This shit's hardcore." But it's just, you put this different level into it where it's like, it's smooth, man. It's smooth, but it's still, because you're not just taking a cheese grinder and grinding somebody's fucking face off. You're not just doing that. And I'm not dissing that style at all, but you got these fucking moves, man. You kick ass, you're smooth, you fly, you use a chair like nobody's business,
Yeah. Well, thank you for noticing.
that's that's awesome, man. How did you end up hooking up with RVD? Was it in ECW?
No, it was way before that. It was 5 years before ECW. I trained Rob like 5 or 6 years before he came to ECW.
Oh
Anyway.
wow, you trained them. I didn't know that.
Yeah, my uncle was training this guy named Samson from Battle Creek. I was training him also, and he said he had a couple of guys that wanted to train with him. And this guy, Vietnamese kid named Dang and Rob. They came out with him, and my uncle started training them, and I started training them.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man.
I didn't train them because I wanted to. I trained them because I had to. I didn't really want to, because I wanted to be trained by nobody knew. So I was a little bit mad at first.
But I remember in a magazine like in the 2000s. I don't know how real this is, or I don't know if it was really you, but I read that you said that you believe RVD is probably like one of the greatest wrestlers ever.
Yeah, greatest pro wrestlers ever. Not wrestlers. Kurt Angle's probably the best wrestler ever, but he's an asshole, so I'm not going to give him the credit. I'll give Rob the best pro wrestler because he can talk, he can do the moves, and he's ahead of time.
Yeah, oh, definitely he is.
Yeah,
well,
definitely,
the matches you guys had together and versus each other, I just love them all. All the shit you guys did together is amazing, beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Question is, I wanted to ask you, the look. How did you come up with the look, the pants, the boots, all that, the colors?
He named me Sabu the Elephant Boy.
Mm-hmm.
And now, it sounds funny because it sounds like Sabu the Elephant Man or something, but it's not really what it meant. My uncle was a big fan of the actor Sabu in the 1925 film or movie, The Jungle Book. And he was Mobley in the movie. But anyways, the actor name was Sabu. So my uncle's a big fan of his, and he wanted to be Sabu growing up. Growing up. So when he had his first kid, he wanted to name his first kid Sabu, and my aunt wouldn't let him. So they named the dog Sabu. It was a white German Shepherd. When the dog died, they named me Sabu. They named me Sabu. An elephant boy means like you heard elephants, like a cowboy. You heard cows. elephant boy herds elephants, so it's a dangerous job. And you wouldn't understand that unless I was in India. If I was in India, I'd be a hero, but I'm not in India. I'm here, and nobody understood it. So I cut the elephant boy part off, and so I just got the baggy pants, like the look of India, and and took it from there.
It's crazy. I actually know what movie he's talking about. I never connected it though. I would have never.
Oh yeah.
The actor and his real name wasn't Sabu, but they named him Sabu. His real name was something else. But they go Sabu the actor, and that was Mowgli in the Jungle Book. But it was a 1925 film. It was black and white.
Actually, that's crazy. I never, like I said, I would have never connected that. That's dope, man.
So when I kind of wrestle, I try to wrestle like I was the Mowgli in the movie. He jumped around and he had a knife he called a tooth. That's why I carry it now. I call that my tooth.
Wow. Seriously, what the fuck? That's the shit.
Yeah, that's badass.
Wow, I'm loving this shit. Sabu, I was gonna ask you, did they ever like me watching the matches, and then especially like growing up and seeing like knowing that you're just selling? Because at first I thought it was real. You know what I mean? When I was younger. But now that I know that you were selling like for Taz, just landing on your head, did that shit ever piss you off?
Yeah, but see, the thing was how I looked at it as pro wrestling was fake, but my uncle wasn't.
Right.
And then when I started wrestling, I had other people come to me and say, "Man, wrestling's bullshit, but you're not." And then I figured that's good enough. Can't save the world.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Even people that I know that would say wrestling's fake, I'd put on some Sabu and they're like, "Fuck that shit. I ain't doing that."
Yeah, that's true story. That's a true story.
We had the privilege of interviewing Juventud Guerrero recently, and he was telling us like about WCW and when they first got, and then even the ECW, he talked about how they first got him into ECW, and you know what I'm saying, like you guys' styles were so much alike. You know what I'm saying? Like it was awesome. You know what I'm saying? Because I watched some of the old ECW stuff, and they would bring it, man. They would leave it all in the ring, and that's what he said. He said they try to have the best matches of the night so that they could be remembered. You know what I mean?
Right on. Yeah.
One of my favorite matches, and if people don't know that this match exists, I suggest they get on YouTube or whatever and watch this, was in '97 in WrestleFest against Mankind. I don't know what it was about that match, but the first time I saw it, it was like combining both worlds to me for some reason, because I just looked at the character of Mankind.
Where was that at? Where was that at?
I believe it was WrestleFest. It was like a Terry Funk show, maybe.
Amarillo. Yes, that was one of my better matches with Mick Foley. I like that match.
It's one of my favorites of all time. And like I said, when at that time, I really, for some reason, looked at Foley as this WWF guy. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a Mankind character. So to see him combined next to you, and man, you guys made it work. It's one of the best. If you haven't seen it, go check that match out, man. People listening.
That's the only time I had to Mick at Mankind, and I remember that match. I liked it a lot.
That was that's probably one of my favorite top matches. Another one is LA Park. What were your matches with LA Park like?
LA Park. Oh, they were great. He's good. He's real good. Even though he's out of shape, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way.
Yeah, he's excellent.
Hey, Mr. Sabu, check this out. It was about like 10 years ago. You wrestled in Denver for a company called Primo's Hardcore. Do you remember that?
I think so.
And it was the first time that me and my brother got to see you live.
It was a deathmatch tournament, wasn't it?
Yeah, with the Concussion was there. Remember Concussion?
I was a match rich. I told them I didn't want to be in no deathmatch. They said, "Okay, you go on third." I said, "Okay." I didn't know the whole show was to be death matches with glass in the first match, glass in the last match.
Oh shit!
Because we heard at the end you were really pissed off about some, and we never found out. We're like, I wonder why he was mad.
I was mad because when I got to the ring, it was full of glass already, and I didn't start the match. And puddles of blood. Puddles of blood. Mine.
We didn't hear it. It was clearly visible that he was pissed off.
Yeah.
He goes, "Don't worry." He goes, "Don't worry, you're not going to have a death match." I go, "Okay, but then what's the difference if I'm out there in the broken glass and the thumbtacks anyway?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because we thought you got mad because he fucked up the finish. Remember, his name is Joey Terrifying, the guy you
Yeah,
wrestled.
I was mad about that too because he threw fire at me, and all he did was catch my chin on fire.
I remember that.
I was mad about that too.
I was like,
Yeah,
he's still back there. I want to say
mostly,
what's up, and then like he's gone.
yeah, I was mostly mad because the ring had glass in it. That was mostly why I
All
was
right,
mad.
man. That's cool. That's cool that I got that answered finally. Awesome.
I apologize.
Now you're good. Cause do you remember Concussion?
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
our friend, and he was gonna try to get us to like to say at least a what's up, but he's like, nah, he's gone, and he was pissed off, bro. And I was like, it's all good. We get it. He's a legend.
But
By
no,
the
man,
way,
and then Sabu's handed down so much knowledge, bro, through the years to other guys he's wrestled, and I can vouch for it. I'm one of them, and every single match that I've had with this young man has been awesome, man. It's always been a learning experience. You know what I'm saying? We wrestled for your cousins in AWWL. That's when you and Monty met, the alpha male.
Yeah.
Yup, and then so I had a chance to wrestle you a few times there, and that's when I first started getting to know you and stuff. And I just want to say seriously, man, thank you for the knowledge that you showed to us, because there's a bunch of other vets there that just didn't give a shit about nothing. They didn't care about trying to help the younger up and coming guys out or nothing like that. But you always showed us love, man. You were stern, but you wanted to, because you wanted the best out of the match. You wanted the best out of each individual. You know what I'm saying? That you worked so that the crowd would remember them also. And I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for that. That's from the heart, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Always good to hear
I
that.
mean, I mean, for the most part, you hear a lot of stories about wrestlers around, like, oh yeah, he was kind of this, whatever. Everything I've ever heard from you about Mr. Sabu was just phenomenal. I mean, Concussion really looked up to you. You know what I mean? The way he talked and just talking to, Manny and everyone else, nothing but mad respect.
Well, people who think they know me from the internet think I'm an asshole because I'm a smart ass. But people who really know me know that I'm not really that way. I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh
definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
I get a lot of heat from the Twitter and Facebook and Twitter. I don't take a joke anymore.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah, they
That's
can't.
the
They're too
world.
soft, man. They get butt hurt too easy.
So I mean, it's not really a question or whatever, just something I wanted to bring up. And I've heard the story a bunch of times, but I just want to say, I think it was your debut when they had you come out with the chains, like kind of like the Lecter gimmick
Yeah.
that you were all pissed off about. Was that your debut?
Yes, I was mad because there's a guy in Japan, my friend, Dr. Luther, that was doing that gimmick already, and I didn't want him to.
Oh,
I was happy with my gimmick already. I didn't need to steal somebody else's, and so I said, "You give me $500 extra, and I'll do it." And he did. So I made him give me $500 every time. Then finally, they didn't want to give me $500 no more, and told me not.
they're like,
So they
just give me
stopped doing
500.
it.
He'll get used to that shit. Well, I just wanted to say though, it looked dope though. It fits your character. It actually looked good.
But it was been done already, but not by me. It was a cool thing.
Yeah.
I'll be a thief.
Cause if I was in the center of that ring and they bring you out like that, I'm running. I'm getting the fuck out of there.
I felt that when I was struggling under those chains, I'd get so tired. When the chains came off, I couldn't breathe no more. I was blown up.
Oh shit.
Damn.
Tired when the match started.
So I gotta go with the Terry Funk barbed wire match. I have a couple questions on that one because that one's got to be like your most famous match, I believe, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that gets brought up the most. It's not my favorite match, but it's most talked about match. Yes.
Well, so when you were gonna hit the barbed wire, did you ever like hesitate, or were you just like, "Fuck it, I gotta do it," and boom, take it? Cause shit, that was rough.
I always said fuck it and do it.
Shit, fuck you.
When you try to take something lightly, it doesn't come out that way.
Yeah.
If you punch them hard, it don't hurt. If you punch them halfway hard, it hurts your hand, it hurts their head.
So for the viewers or whatever who watch wrestling like that with barbed wire and tacks and all that. I mean, what would you tell them as far as if they want to sit there negative and be like, there's no way that's real?
Um, I don't. I don't like all the stuff they're doing today, like the light tubes all the time and the
Yeah.
thumbtacks. Well, the thumbtacks, I only did those once or twice. I didn't like doing them because when the guy I was wrestling goes, "Oh, I'm gonna bring out the thumbtacks." I go, "I'm not gonna take them." He goes, "You don't have to. I'll put them out and you double cross me and you can put me in through them." I go, "No. Why would I put? It's not my move. I don't use thumbtacks. I'm not gonna put you through thumbtacks." So I said, "All right, I'll take them." But I only took them once or twice. I never liked them. Now I took a light bulb once. The light bulbs are so weak, they make good use. They cut you good, but they really, in a real fight, would you hit somebody with a light bulb?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Now get the
So
light bulb.
so now you were talking about that, how everybody talks about that. That's one of their favorite matches. What is one of your favorite matches?
Well, like I said, my favorite match is the first match I had with Taz in ECW. It was the first ECW match.
Awesome.
You know,
Awesome.
And that was only like I said, only 200 people seen it, but it was
Yeah.
it set the pace for the next 10 years.
Awesome. That's cool, man. Do you still stay in contact with a lot of those guys, or
Yeah,
no, not really?
I talked to Taz a little bit. I talked to Van Dam all the time. Sandman a little bit. Raven a little bit.
Uh,
Mikey a little bit.
yep, yep.
What about the Dudley Boys?
No, I don't talk to them that much. I like
So
these
I mean,
both, but I can live without them.
so I mean, back in the day or even now, like, who were your biggest, boys? Who were your biggest friends? Like the boys in the biz. Who were the ones?
Well, there's this guy. He died 20 years ago. Luce McCauley. He was one of my favorites. My referee Pee Wee. He's one of my favorites. Mikey Ripwreck was one of my favorites. Van Dam, of course. Jerry Lynn. A few guys. Al Snow.
Damn, right on.
Oh yeah.
New Jack. People didn't know that me and New Jack was close friends in the dressing room. We didn't hang out much out of the dressing room, but in the dressing room, we hung out with each other.
Oh, okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that either. Yeah. That's cool, man.
Everybody would ask me, "Is New Jack an asshole?" I go, "Yeah, but not to me."
Yeah. That's crazy. It's the truth, though. It's the truth, man. You know what I'm saying? Once you're out that locker room, it's like, hey, man, they ain't got nothing to do with me. Me and him are cool.
So when you got to WWE, like in 2006, I believe, right? How was the backstage? Did they take you in cool, or were they like, man, fuck this guy? You know what I mean?
They were, fuck this guy.
Damn.
Everybody would say, fuck this guy. Even Vince wasn't at first, but eventually he was.
Because they didn't respect EC Dub when they bought it. They totally turned it down, like as far as the type of wrestling and everything like that. Even though they tried to make it work, and then I remember because me and MANNY were still running tight at that time, and that's when they had started that new faction, the New Blood, and it was them against him, Elijah Burke, and them guys against the Vets were you guys, you know what I'm saying? And I remember they hold you guys at WrestleMania. They only gave you guys like 5 minutes or something, and then the next day on Monday Night Raw, you guys tore it up. You guys ripped it. I remember that. And I was like, that's the match, and that's the time they should have gave them for WrestleMania. But I know for a fact they cut your time down because I could just tell, just like a lot of stuff didn't make sense. It was rushed. You know what I'm saying? And I seen the timeline, and I was like, that's when I knew personally that, like you just said, that the respect really wasn't there for what you guys have done. You know what I'm saying? So, but the next guy, I give you guys props, man. The next day when you guys got on Raw, you still tore it up, man. That was one of my favorite matches to see you guys in, because I see you and MANNY work, plenty of times, man. But that was one of my favorite matches between you guys. Was it was a 5-on-5, I believe, and it was 4-on-4. Yep, there you go. And you guys ripped it, man. I mean, the psychology was just awesome, man. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, Yeah,
That
that was a great.
they made us go over that match 3 days in advance.
Really?
Yeah, they called me at 8 o'clock in the morning, 3 days before WrestleMania, and said, "Hey, come down and go over this match." I go, "You're fucking kidding me." Kept calling me kidding. I couldn't get down there about noon. They've been down there since 8 o'clock in the morning going over the match.
Damn. That's four.
That's
Damn.
crazy. That's
What was
crazy,
what was the
man.
schedule in WWE? Like, how was your schedule?
WWE.
Yeah.
What's that?
What was your schedule like in WWE?
Yeah, well, WWE schedule was hectic. It was crazy. We're in different parts of the world every week, and there was never no time off really. But that's what it takes. I mean, that's what it takes to be separated from the rest of them, is to be able to take that schedule and be good at it. And I could have been good at it, but the thing was, every time I did something, they would say, "You can't do that." I said, "But I originated it, or I invented it." They said, "You didn't hear." Like, I jumped off the chair one time and did the kick into the corner off the chair.
Right.
And they said, "You can do that." I go, "Why not?" They go, "That's just Hardy's spot." I said, "I invented it." They said, "Not here, you didn't." I said, "Well, that's some bullshit."
Oh wow.
They cut
Damn.
me down. Every night I'd do something, they'd cut me down, saying, "You can't do that again. You can't do that again." Every night. So I've only had a few moves I could get away with without causing no heat. So I had heat every night I worked because I'd do shit when they told me I couldn't do it because I had to. That was me.
Damn, no
Yeah.
shit.
That explains a lot.
I had to. It was me. And when they told me to go over the match at noon, when the match was at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, I couldn't do it. So I'd give them like a rough draft of a bullshit match, and I wouldn't do none of the stuff I told them. I'd change it during the match. They'd get mad. All they got over, and Vince liked it, but didn't get over with the agency because they didn't come up with it. So I was nobody's favorite in the dressing room or out of the dressing room. I was nobody's favorite. Nobody went to bat for me. I didn't need anyone to go to bat for me. I could go to bat for myself. I didn't know people were going to bat against me behind my back, without me knowing. Dusty Rhodes, I said to Dusty Rhodes, I go, "Why am I getting shit on here?" He goes, "You ain't got no friends in the booking meeting." I said, "I ain't got no friends in the booking meeting." He goes, "Yeah, you got to have some friends in the booking meeting." I said, "I don't have no friends in the booking meeting." He goes, "No." And I looked at him and I thought, "What about you?" And he looked at me and goes, "You ain't got no friends in the booking meeting," and walked away.
Wow.
Damn, that hurts.
Yeah.
Damn.
He was one of my uncle's favorites. He was one of my uncle's favorites.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of drama like that going on.
What's that?
There was just a lot of drama like that going on.
Yeah, it was all bullshit like that, all politics stuff, all stuff I didn't think I could. I knew, you'd have to do some politicking, but I thought I could avoid it. I figured I'd be good enough, and I made a name for myself enough where I wouldn't have to be part of it. But if you weren't part of it, you're against it.
Is this like early, or is this like I want to say like when you were doing the stuff with the Big Show?
Yeah, those days were better. It got worse after that. When I wrestled the Big Show, everything was cool. He liked me, I liked him, so everything was good. And he didn't do nothing I did, so we didn't conflict of styles or nothing. A lot of the other guys we conflicted because if I wrestled Jeff Hardy, I couldn't do some of my moves because he does them.
What about with like John Cena? Didn't you wrestle John Cena as well?
That's when it was still going good. The first few matches, the first 3 months were good. And John Cena was the first couple of weeks, and he was good. I got a lot of like bad reports about him being a crowbar and being heavy and a sledgehammer and knock your teeth out and shit like that. And he was nothing but a professional. And he actually let me lead the match, and he was good. I got nothing bad to say about him.
On the one night stand versus Rey Mysterio, that was a beauty.
Yeah, that was before I had heat. They didn't tell me I had to go over my match with the agent for that match. I didn't have no agent. Arn Anderson was the agent for the match. He goes, "Just come up with whatever you want." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "Tell me later." I said, "Okay." So I roughly told him what I was going to do. Not exactly. And he said, "Okay, go do it." And I did it, and I got over it. So I thought it was always going to be that easy, but it wasn't. Like I said, Arn, if they don't come up with your stuff, if they have nothing to write for you, then they don't use you. If the writers don't write nothing for you and the agents don't put your name, they don't use you.
Fuck, man.
Yeah.
And you're Sabu. What the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Every Friday, they have everybody there, 50, 100 guys.
For example, when with John Cena, and like I said, this might be a stupid question, but like, was he like, "Oh shit, you're Sabu. How you doing, sir?" Was he like that, or was he just like, "I'm fucking John Cena. This is my role"?
He was kind of. I talked to his dad one time, And he said that John Cena's first live match was a match in Worcester, Massachusetts, where I broke my jaw and it traumatized him. He didn't want to be a wrestler after that. But then he ended up drying his tears up and becoming a wrestler anyways. But then when I met John, like, yeah, he marked out for me. He was very polite and very respectful. I got nothing but respect for him.
Was there any wrestlers that you ended up wrestling that you were like, man, I wanted to wrestle this person, check one off the list? Was there any wrestlers like that?
I wanted Brock Lesnar, but he wasn't available at the time. And
that would have been badass.
There was nobody I really wanted to work other than Brock Lesnar, that I never got to work.
Damn.
Oh, that's awesome. That would have been cool too.
Hey, so there's an incident that I heard about. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was a house show or it was recorded, but I heard that you had to come out in CM Punk's attire. Is that true?
CM Punk's attire?
Yeah, I read that back in the day.
No, what's he wear?
The underwear. That's how SABU came out in underwear.
Just the trunks.
What the fuck? I was like, why the fuck would he do that? Is he trying to get fired?
He drew on the Pepsi tattoo and all that shit.
He drew it on. He drew it on. That in the Cobra tattoo.
The tattoo shit.
That's you. That's when you were smoking a lot of weed, Ash.
No, I
that's
never.
When you were smoking a lot of weed,
bro. Yo, fuck that. I read that shit.
Yeah, I don't know where you read it, brother. It might have been make believe.
All right.
But no, I've never heard that story ever, man.
I'm gonna put him on the spot.
I can't even imagine Sabu coming out.
Yo,
in some trunks.
Why would I make that shit up, bro?
But hold on. I read about that shit too.
Huh?
I read about that shit too, and Ash didn't tell me about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know whoever wrote it, but it must have been high, man. Because I ain't never seen that man come out in nothing but his regular stuff, man, ever.
You know what? When
I first got to WWE, I rode him for the first couple of months, but no, I never wore his underwear.
Fuck.
Yeah. Fuck that question. I shouldn't ask that shit.
Exactly. It's all good. You can't take it back now.
You know what I thought when I read that though? I thought like he has had enough of their shit and he's about to piss them the fuck off. That's what I thought. Speculations. Motherfucking speculations.
I think this is my days with WWE. They're beating me every night and not using me on the house shows. If they don't use you on the house shows, hey, TV, you don't get paid for TV. You don't get paid for house shows.
Yeah.
So they weren't using me on the house shows towards the end there. So one day I come in late and they called me when I was in Cincinnati and I told them I'm gonna be late. I'll be there at 3:00. It's noon. They go, no, you better be here now, yelling at me. I said, I don't think so. And I hung up on them. They called me back and they go, you better get here. I said, I go, who am I working tonight? They go, you're working Kevin Thornton, you're putting him over. I said, I don't think so. They go, what's wrong? I hung up on them. Then I show up at 3:00 and Johnny Yates goes, hey, Terry, what's going on? Hey, fuck you, Johnny. He goes, Sabu, what's wrong? I go, you want me to wrestle Kevin Thornton? He goes, yeah. I go, and you want me to put him over? He goes, yeah. I go, I'm not gonna. He goes, why not? He goes, why not? I go, my neck hurts. He goes, you wrestled in pain before? I said, not anymore. And he goes, what do you want me to tell Vince? I said, tell me anything you want. I'm not gonna do it. And then he goes, Vince, he said, Vince, that's what Vince wants for the finish. Do it or leave it. And I said, okay, I'll leave it.
Oh, wow.
And then
yeah, but I mean, your body, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, if you're that hurt, you know what I'm saying, to where Sabu's saying, hey man, I'm hurt. You know what I mean? Then that's like 10 levels of somebody else being hurt. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, I've seen it, dude. You've wrestled with a torn bicep. You know what I'm saying? I mean, concussions. You name it. I've seen you wrestle. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I used to watch that shit when you slammed your jaw on the rail and you just came back, taped it up, and all that.
How's it work?
What? Was it?
Don't tell me that.
That's fucked up.
He's a surprise. He's a surprise. You want to interview wrestlers?
What the fuck?
I broke my jaw for real in Massachusetts. And so I had a broken jaw for a while, but people couldn't tell it was broken unless I totally broke it. I put tape on my jaw every night to remind them that I'm wrestling with a broken jaw, and it got me more sympathy.
Holy
Oh,
shit,
okay.
man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that
to
makes
take it back
sense.
Even if my jaw was
little bit.
healed, I would tape it up and remind people that I had a broken jaw, and they bought it.
I really did. I gave you all my
Uh,
money.
yeah, you with interest, I bought it.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
I can't show off that story no more. Fucking shit.
So
Oh
I mean,
man.
going back to that Mankind match, there was this elbow that he hit you with that looked like 100% fucking stiff as shit. Was that, if you could remember that one, was that one of those, or?
No, it was heavy, but no, nothing he did he was good, and you know I think I'm pretty good. So when stuff looks like it's stiff, it usually isn't. You know, when it comes to him or me, the stiffer stuff the easier it is actually. And yeah, I remember that elbow. Nothing. It was heavy, but it wasn't nothing really.
Yeah, that shit looked like it decked you hard.
Yeah, well, that's the trick, is to make it look like it hit you.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. See? There you go, brother.
God damn.
That's when he broke his jaw.
Hey.
The trick to that
So
business,
Sabu was
is-
checking our
so
punk asses, bro. What the fuck?
yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
But so check it out, man. I know your time is short, brother, and we enjoy having you here. But
Fuck yeah.
I just wanted to talk about some current stuff. Definitely, as I've already told you, I want to say it on the air in front of everybody, all of our listeners and stuff. Definitely, man. My sympathy and you know, my condolences for the Super Genie. You know, I know how close you guys were. I mean, she was awesome. I blessed. I had a chance to meet her at the gathering that one time with you and stuff, and she was definitely a great woman, man. She was nice to me. I can't, you know, I can only speak on what I saw. She was nice to me. She had your back, you know what I'm saying, unconditionally. And so, you know, we definitely wanted to give you our condolences on her.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then you got your book. The guys here didn't know you had a book out, brother. Let's talk about your book for a second.
Yeah, I got a book out.
Okay. And how, like what's the name of it and how can they get it?
You can order it on Amazon, and it's called Sabu Scars, Silence, and Super Glue. And,
Okay.
get it on Amazon, I guess. Or
Cool. Awesome.
send me a message or something, I can get it to you.
Awesome,
Definitely
man.
in that.
And then what do you I know you got some merch, some different shirts that come out every once in a while. How can people get their hands on some of your merch, man?
Pro Wrestling Tees, they sell my t-shirts, and they give me a fair cut.
Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome.
And they are nice
Awesome,
shirts.
definitely.
They're badass shirts. I've seen them. They're badass.
Support, show some love.
They're one of
Yes,
the,
definitely.
they're the most honest people in the business I know.
Yeah, and that's a rarity. That's a rarity, man. I know that.
I got a question. Is there anything in wrestling now that is no longer there that used to be there back in the day that you're just like, man, I wish that didn't change?
No, you know, it's got to change. When it stays the same, it becomes stale. Even if it's good, even good stuff turns stale after a while. You know, so it's got to change. You know, I'm all about change. That's what I was about when I started wrestling. I wanted to change.
Right. Hell yeah.
That's one of the best answers I've ever heard to that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Like legit.
Speaking on merch real quick. I had a question, Mr. Sabu. Like, has WWE or Mattel hit you up for like a Sabu action figure?
Not well. They did back in the day, but I got a new one coming out. What's called a company called Zombie Sailor, and another one coming out with Cella Toys, something like that. They're coming out any minute, any day, you know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, be sure to put that out.
Yeah, for sure. What's your how do you see that? Because like I'm a big collector of figures, of action figures, and when I find a Sabu, it's gold to me, you know, and many collectors that I know.
ZombieSailor.com, Zombie Sailor something, anything Zombie Sailor on Twitter or Facebook, and the first picture pop up should be mine.
Hell yeah, right on.
hand painted, hand sculptured action figures that are really sweet.
One last thing I want to tell you, or I wanted to ask, is your song is one of my favorites in the entire history of pro wrestling.
Right.
That song carries on with your character. Like, to me, the song is super important because it sets the tone for whatever the gimmick is or whatever. And your song commands respect, just like your character does. That song, was that something you worked on, or where did you get it from? Did somebody help you with, or?
Paul Heyman's best friend, Harry Slash, he's a musician guy. He wrote the songs for me. It was called the Luca Blues, which is, like smoke pipe, pipe smoking. But yeah, he wrote it just for me, and I liked it when I first heard it. There's no words to it. Never was any words to
it. Oh, it's one of the best in the game.
Yeah, definitely.
To this day, it's untouchable.
Thanks, I like it too.
Awesome.
I still use the same music today. Well, if I was to use.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you guys want to tell Sabu?
No, man. Like I said, I just wanted to tell him thank you for giving us some of his time, man. I know he's a busy man. Know he's got a lot going on, but it's been truly an honor, man. As as one of my friends to help out our podcast, man. We really appreciate that, and we hope some of our listeners will get some of your merch. Definitely pick up that book, man. That book is good. You guys will enjoy it. And then, like it says, any of his T-shirts, pick up his T-shirts, help a brother out, man. You know what I'm saying? By buying them from that spot. We're going to go ahead and we'll put the links for that T-shirt place on our comments. So if any of our listeners forget it or whatever, they can always just go back there in our description and click on that, and they'll be able to go right to the site to pick your stuff up, brother. But that's all I had to say, man.
Wrestling teams, they have the Chic T-shirts also.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Right on.
Those are sweet too.
Well, I mean, other than that, like Manny said, much love, respect. Been a fan since the first day I saw you wrestle. You're in my top 3 of favorite wrestlers in the world, and man, thank you so much. Yeah, this means a lot to me. This is the shit, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Sabu. Thank you for your time, and it was a true honor. Seriously, it really was.
I appreciate it.
I hope we get you back for some more.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, give a thumbs up if you know what's up, and give a thumbs down if you're down. Peace.
Punk's head is a shit!